And she was like, no, I do this, but I also do strike nursing. And I'm like, strike nursing, what is that? Want to know how you can make 10 grand in a single week as a nurse? Nope, it's not too good to be true. It's called strike nursing. If that caught your attention, I need you to stick around today end of this video because I'm about to spill all the tea on what it is, how to get started, how much we get paid, and why it might just be the next big career move for you. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Anna if you're new here. I'm a strike nurse / PRN princess. I'm also a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner student. We talk about nursing, lifestyle, and how to get to that bag. More importantly, how to save and invest that bag. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, make sure you click that subscribe button, like button, and share this channel to all your nursing friends. Got my computer with my notes, so let's jump right into the info. First, let's break down the concept of strike nursing. So strike nurses are replacement nurses for when a hospital goes on strike. That could be for a plethora of reasons. It could be the entire ecosystem going on strike, meaning everyone from IT to housekeeping to case management, like everybody and their mother is leaving. So then they have to bring in replacement workers. That is nurses, techs, nutrition, case management, PT. Like they have to replace everyone that went on strike so that they can continue serving the community and continue taking care of people that need medical attention. Nurses typically go on strike for issues like pay, patient ratio, patient acuity, insurance issues. So it could be a plethora of reasons why the nurses are deciding to strike. That's none of the replacement workers' business. We are just there to replace the nurses in the meantime so that we can continue to take care of the people in the community that need help. That's literally all we're there to do. And let me just say this, I don't need anyone coming in the comment section with any nothing negative. Like I don't need that here. Me personally, I support strike nurses. I support nurses that even have the courage to say, you know what, this is not fair, this is not safe, and I'm not gonna stand for this. I'm going to go on strike. And they all come together collectively to go on strike for things that they believe in and stand on it. Like I'm very much in support of that. But in the meantime, it's nurses like me and my colleagues that's gonna come in to help the community. Where replacement nurses get a very bad rap, we're called scabs because we choose to cross the picket line. And everybody have different reasons why they do it. But that's the general concept of what a strike nurse is or a replacement nurse is. Here's the kicker. Strike nurses are often paid at a much higher rate than travel nurses, which is why I retired from travel nursing. I don't do travel nursing anymore. I'll do my PRN and then I'll do strike nurse contracts because it just makes more sense financially for me. Like I'm not gonna leave my kid to go work for pennies. It just doesn't make sense. Strike nurses make significantly more than travel nurses. I'm talking 5,000 to 10,000 more a week. Yes, I said a week than travel nurses. I'm gonna put my paycheck on somewhere on the screen. I'm currently on an actual strike nurse assignment, so I'm in a hotel right now, which is why my environment look like this. Do not ask me where I am because I will not disclose my location for safety reasons, obviously. This is what I got for the first week of working 72 hours, so that's 6 days. The pay also depends on your specialty. Obviously, the more niche down your specialty is, the higher you're going to get paid because not everyone is readily available within that specialty to just up and jump into a strike contract. It's a higher hourly rate. The lowest strike hour rate I've seen is 100. I haven't seen anything lower than that. The highest I've seen is 150. Yes, imagine getting paid 150 an hour. Child, don't even get me started. And I have been paid $150 an hour to work a strike assignment. Sometimes they'll give you bonuses. So if they want people to show up 2 or 3 days early to the location, they'll give you like an incentive. I think the last one was for a strike that I did in New York, and they were paying like $1,500, $1,500 to $1,800 to show up 2 to 3 days early to the location. That way, you know, they didn't have a whole bunch of people flying in on the same day, you know, increasing the chances of missing flights, etc. So it's a lot of incentives and encouragement to work in a strike assignment. You can't beat that. You're literally not making anything like this in 2025 as a travel nurse. It's just not out there. It's not there. So this is one of the upside of being a strike nurse is that you get paid very well. You're compensated very well. Not only that, but you get to travel to new places and experience different cultures, different environments without coming out of pocket. So that's the other nice thing about strike nursing. You don't have to pay for a room. You don't have to pay for travel. Everything is literally at the expense of the company that you're working with. So they book your flight, they book your hotel for however long you'll be in that particular location. And when you're done working, they book you another flight and you fly home. just like that. It's literally a transaction. Literally a transaction, in and out, just like that. To be a strike nurse, you have to be a quick thinker, you have to be very efficient, and you have to know your stuff. This is not like a travel contract where they give you a whole week of orientation, you get to shadow the nurses on the floor. Like, no, you get no on the floor orientation. You get 1 day of orientation, and that's just to learn the system, learn their policies, and learn whatever EMR they're using, and that's it. After orientation, you jump right in the floor, and it's boots on the ground, which is why I said this video will help you know if strike nursing is right for you, because your skill set has to be top tier. It has to be A1, because you get no training. You are expected to go in and give top tier care to these patients. I know that was a lot of information to digest, but bear with me. I'm gonna break it down a little bit more. Typically, it's very short term. You might have ones that can be long term. If you do keep up with the strike nurse world, you know that in 2023, New Jersey went on strike, and they were on strike for roughly 5 to 8 months. So you can have a strike that lasts as long as that. You can have strikes that last for 1 day, 3 days, 5 days. So it just depends. But typically, strikes are very short. Again, you have those instances where it goes on for months or weeks, but typically it is a short-term contract. The agency that you're signed up with will reach out to you with the details, without disclosing the location and the identity of the facility until you're actually there. They'll ask if you're interested. They'll ask you to put in when you'd be available to travel. They'll give you the pay rate and the start date, and then you will have to decide if you'll be able to go on that date, if that rate fits you. When I say if the rate fits you, if that's something that you're willing to work for. The rate is not negotiable. It's not like a travel contract where you can negotiate or try to go up higher with the bill rate. It's not like that. It's very important to know that these opportunities are very last minute, so you have to be very flexible. Typically, strike nurses or replacement nurses are per diem nurses. They do not have a full-time job, because you have to be ready to go at the drop of a dime. Like, I had a friend that they text, it was 11 a.m. and they texted her and said, hey, can you be at the airport at 1 p.m. to catch your flight? So it's literally that fast. Like, it's like boom, 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 boom. Next thing you know, you're on a flight in the air to the next location. So you have to be very flexible. As I mentioned before, travel and accommodation, i.e. housing, is provided by the facility, so that's not something that you have to worry about. You just gotta make sure you have your suitcase with your necessities and you show up where you need to be when you need to be there. Be prepared to hit the ground running. They look at strike nurses as the elites, okay? You go in with no preparation. You can be a very fast-paced environment, very long shifts. Like, I've been working for the past 6 days straight. I have 1 day off, and then I'm gonna go work for another 6 days straight. So it takes a special kind. Like, it's not for everyone. Like, you got to be physically, mentally, and emotionally ready to work these assignments. You have to be confident in your skills and know your stuff, especially if you are in a niche specialty, like emergency room, ICU, especially if it's like shock ICU, trauma ICU, surgical ICU, labor and delivery. Like, you really have to know your stuff. Let's talk about the pros of strike nursing. Number one, the amazing pay. This is the biggest draw for most people, because obviously as a nurse in 2025, we're not making that much, especially doing travel or working staff. Like, you might make close to what strike nurses make if you're working per diem in a high paying city. But outside of that, you're not making these rates of $100 an hour, $120 an hour, $150 an hour, sometimes even close to $200 an hour, depending on your specialty. So this is the big draw for most people. People are able to pay off their houses, pay off their cars, get out of debt, take that trip they've been wanting to take some months off work. So this can truly set you up financially. Personally, I've been able to buy a house. I've been able to get out of debt. I've been able to spend more time with my kid, my family, and it truly has set me up for financial success. So that's the biggest draw, is the money. Okay. Number two is the experience that you get. It truly takes a top tier nurse to be a strike nurse. To go in there, boots on the ground running, no type of, I take this back. You do get orientation. Like I said, you get 1 day in like an office type setting, not on the floor. You get in like a sit down type setting where they go over their policies, their procedures, what they expect of you as the nurse. So it's not necessarily, you get to shadow a nurse on the floor, you get 2 days or 2 nights. It's not like that. So you have to know your stuff. But the experience that you get as a strike nurse, you're able to go in and just handle like a boss without no type of formal training to that facility, to the environment, and be able to click with the doctors and the other staff nurses that are on the floor. or other staff that you're working with at the facility. It's literally such a great experience. And once you've done your first strike contract, that confidence level just goes up and it's like, okay, what's next? I can do anything. So the experience for sure definitely make you a more confident, versatile nurse, and you'll be able to handle any situation. The third pro about it is the flexibility. Since it's typically such a short-term contract, you're able to make a large sum of money in a very short amount of time. So you're able to take time off, pursue other goals, run a business if need to, or even just spend time at home. As you know, with every good thing, there's a bad side to it. So let's talk about the cons of strike nursing. Number one, it's a very high pressure environment. Not a lot of nurses are able to have this part of it. The agencies typically have people on the floor that will pick up on that and will pull you to the corner and say, hey, let's reevaluate the situation. And I've seen people get sent home for not being able to handle the pressure. Personally, I'm currently an ER nurse. ER is very fast paced, especially if we get thrown into a trauma facility. You gotta be able to hold your own. You gotta be able to run laps, okay? In a high level, high pressure trauma 1 ER, you gotta be able to hold your own. And I've seen nurses get sent home for not being able to keep up. So it's very high pressure, high stress. Mentally, it can be draining, and also emotionally. So be ready for that challenge always. You never know what you're walking into. You just gotta, like I said, have confidence in your skills and be ready for whatever. Second con of strike nursing is the short notice. With this part of it, you cannot have a full-time job. It's harder to say, hey boss, I need to leave my full-time job for 5 to 10 days. Ain't no boss doing that. And if you call out so many times, like eventually they're gonna be like, all right, Susie, slow your roll, like what's going on? Which is why you'll mostly see per diem nurses that do strike nursing, because they're able to either give their shifts away or just be like, hey, I'm not gonna come in for these couple of days. And typically for a strike assignment, it's a 5 to 10 day notice. So you have to give them 5 to 10 days of your time. Even if the strike is 1 day, they still want you to be there 2 to 3 days before the actual strike happens. The next con is not only that, another con of strike nursing is the mental and emotional toll that it can take on you. For instance, if you are not used to working 5 to 6 days in a row and being in like a tunnel vision, locked in, mundane type of routine where literally all you're doing is sleep and work, especially if you are in a location where the time difference is ahead or behind where you're from, it's gonna make it a little bit difficult to get in touch with your family and your kids, because while you're up there sleeping, so it can be emotionally and mentally draining. So that's another con that a lot of people don't think about. It's like, it can be very draining. Like, I've had to up my vitamins, up my vitamin D, because where I'm at, I'm not getting any sun right now, and I felt it starting to affect me. So I had to get on that vitamin D, up it to like, I think 5,000, because it does start to take a toll on you. It truly does. But you have to have a why. Like, my why is I'll be able to provide for my family. I'll be able to get out of debt, and that's bigger than anything else. But in the meantime, you still have to take care of yourself, because if you're not mentally and emotionally stable, it can get dark real quick. Like, a lot of people don't talk about that side of it, but I just want you to know all the details, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so that you can make a conscious decision, because you don't want to get in with these agencies and then leave a bad taste in their mouth by leaving a contract early, or not putting your best foot forward when you go on the floor. I'm the type of person, I'm gonna try to put you on. I always try to tell my nurse friends, like, hey, it's a strike about to happen, you should apply. But I've become more careful with that, because again, some nurses feel differently about it. I remember I told one friend about it, and she was like, why would you do that? I would never cross a picket line. I would never do that. And I felt a way, because it's like, okay, I'm just trying to put you on, girl. Like, I'm just trying to put some money in your pocket. Like, that's really all it came down to. Like, but so with that experience, I've become very careful about the things that I say to other nurses. So if I didn't meet you on a strike assignment, or if I haven't worked alongside with you at a strike assignment, if I know an assignment is coming up, my mouth is shut. Because I don't know your stance on that. And people can be friends and have different views, but we're just not gonna make it an issue. it's a very touchy subject for a lot of nurses. And again, I do support strike nurses. I do want them to get whatever they're fighting for, because that in turn helps the outcome of patients. Like, I'm not mad at it, honestly. The part we've been waiting for: how to get started as a strike nurse or a replacement nurse. These are the steps you're going to want to follow. You want to look up reputable staffing agencies specializing in strike nurses. Some travel agencies do have sister agencies that are just strictly for strikes. So if you're with a travel agency, you can call your recruiter and be like, hey, do you guys have a strike department? And 9 times out of 10, the recruiter will know. I'm gonna say this: some recruiters do not want their recruits to do strike, because then that means you're not gonna do a travel assignment to get them paid. With a strike assignment, you're not typically tied to a recruiter, especially with a bigger company. The smaller ones, you might have like a direct contact to a recruiter, but for the bigger agencies, you don't have a specific recruiter that you're going to that's submitting you and asking you for stuff. So that's the only downside of, you know, asking a recruiter. They might deter you from wanting to do strike assignments. But again, you have to just be adamant and be like, no, this is what I want to do. Like, I've had agencies reach out to me that do have a strike department, be like, hey, do you want to take a contract? And I'm like, no, when y'all have a strike, let me know. Like, no. Some of the agencies that I work with are US Nursing, HSS, VCP, ProLink, no, not ProLink, Continuum, which is ProLink's sister company, HGC or HSG. You also have Aya. Aya does strike contracts too. You also have Huffmaster. It's a couple that I'm forgetting. Just go make a profile and apply to all of them. You also want to update your credentials. Say for instance, you applied to Huffmasters, you want to make sure you get your profile started. You want to make sure you upload all your credentials, your licensing, your certification, because once your profile is already created and all your credentials is in, they typically reach for people that already have all their stuff together versus someone that is just getting started. So that's another thing too. Like, you always want to stay ready. Always update your profile, always update your resume, always make sure that your certifications are up to date, because they will pull a person that is already tied and wrapped in a bow and ready to go versus somebody that is just getting started. And the most important thing is to stay informed. So join all the Facebook groups, not the public ones. I stay away from the public strike groups because it's just so much controversy and you never know when the information is true. Personally, I only join the private ones, and the private ones will typically only let you in if you've already done a strike assignment. So it's like a toss-up, because you have to be a strike nurse to be able to be in the private ones. But it's one that they'll let you in even if you haven't done a strike assignment yet. I think it's called Strike Update or Strike Nurse Edition, something like that. I'll leave it in the description box with the link to the Facebook group. But you definitely want to stay informed. You want to be a part of the community. The community is very small, but we somehow manage to get all the information. And another thing is to build relationships with people. Typically, people find out about strikes by word of mouth. I'm very big on engaging with different nurses. I actually found out about strike nursing when I was on a per diem shift that I picked up on a app, and I was working with this older lady, and I was like, you know, like, do you only do agency work, or I mean, do you only pick up shifts on this app? Like, how do you make your money? I'm listen, I be asking questions. And she was like, no, I do this, but I also do strike nursing. And I'm like, strike nursing, what is that? So, you know, she gave me the tea. She told me where to apply, and literally that day I applied. I think it was in October. It was October of like 2022 when I applied. And this time I was like freaking 6 months, 7 months pregnant, about to pop. And they had a strike in December. I applied, I uploaded all my stuff, and I actually got chosen to go on the strike, booked my flight and everything. And my doctor was like, you can't travel. I said, I know you lying. My doctor said I couldn't travel, so I had to reach out to the agency, and I'm like, hey, such and such. My doctor said I can't travel. Thank you for the opportunity. Hopefully, you know, the next one I'll be able to get on. And that didn't affect my chances because I communicated and, you know, let them know, and I did get on to the next strike the following year. So even if you do get in a situation like that where you do get an opportunity to go on the strike and for health reasons or family reasons you can't go, just communicate with them versus just canceling or not showing up, because that will, you know, hurt your chances of getting chosen another time, because then they'll be like, I can't rely on you, so why am I going to choose you in the first place? You get This is a key information, is to pack smart. If you haven't seen my travel nurse video where I'm talking about how to pack for travel nursing, I'm gonna leave it right here or somewhere on the screen. If you're interested in travel nursing and strike nursing is not for you, you can go watch that video, and it has all the information ins and outs on travel nursing. When it comes to packing for a strike assignment, you want to get your essentials, scrubs, your toiletries, stuff to keep you comfortable. That's it. That's it. Especially if it's like a short strike, you want to just get your essentials because they only pay for one bag. For the more seasoned strike nurses, where we're able to work and, you know, fit in a little leisure time stuff, we gonna pack our little, you know, nice outfits and stuff because we're able to hack it where we can go out a couple hours, take a nap, and go to work. But then again, you know, sometimes you just never know how it's gonna work out. You might be working like the current strike that I'm on, where you're working 6 days a week, only have 1 day off, you're in school, that 1 day off is spent doing homework or catching up with family. So you just never know how the coin is gonna land. My experience as a strike nurse has been one for the books. I haven't regretted not one strike assignment that I've taken. Like I said, it has set me up financially. I was able to buy a house. I was able to get out of debt. I went back to school for my bachelor's and didn't have to take out a loan, paid it full. So it's literally changed my life for the better. I went from being broke and pregnant to buying a house, an investment property, paying off debt, going back to school. So it can truly set you up for the better. I've been truly blessed with the opportunities. I've done maybe 5 strikes thus far. Within the span of 2 to 3 years, I've been able to experience some awesome locations, great food, great people. Honestly, I would not trade it for anything. Yes, it was challenging. Yes, that first assignment was nerve-wracking. I didn't know what to expect, but thankfully I had friends that were on that same assignment, even though they weren't in my department, being the ER. But just knowing that I could shoot a text, it made it a little less nerve-wracking. It was absolutely worth it. So one thing I forgot to mention is that typically states that do go on strike are the non-compact states. So states like California, New York, Massachusetts, Oregon, Minnesota. Those states are typically the ones that are going to go on strike, and strike companies expect you to come with those licenses already. Also, Hawaii is another big one. Sometimes the company will have like an incentive to applying for the license where they'll reimburse you for whatever money you spent to gain that license. But 9 times out of 10, and like I said before, you want to stay ready. So just make sure you have those licenses. It's better to have it ready and need to renew it than to not have it at all. And then you have to wait to, you know, get fingerprinted and wait for processing. And some of those states can take a long time to process your license and to get it out to you. So that's another important thing to think about when it comes to strike nursing, is to make sure you have those non-compact state license ready. Sometimes you'll have compact states that go on strike, but that's far and in between because those compact states are typically not unionized. So that's another gem. So that is strike nursing in a nutshell. If you have any questions or anything that I didn't touch on that you were interested in, which I believe I covered all the bases. Actually, one thing I will say, if you ever get the opportunity to go on a strike assignment, do not be one of those nurses that is fighting against another strike nurse. As in, you two work for the same agency, but you're fighting against each other, throwing each other under the bus, reporting another nurse to management or back to the agency. I'm gonna say this. We're all there representing the agency. The agency handpicked us to represent them. So how would it look if you, as an agency nurse, is throwing another agency nurse under the bus or reporting the nurse to the agency? You think the nurse is going to look bad? You're also going to look bad because you're going to be looked at as not being able to work well with others, and that agency is not going to want to invite you back to another strike. So please don't be one of those nurses that fight against each other. Like, we're all there to accomplish the mission. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. So if you ever get the opportunity to be a strike nurse or to work a strike assignment, don't be that girl, don't be that boy. It's not cute. But if you have any more questions about strike nursing, how to get started, agencies, pay rate, whatever, or you just want more tips, drop it in the comment section below and I'll try to get back to you in a timely manner and be as detailed as possible. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.